Welcome back, folks. I'm Jake Ellenbogen. He is Gary Sheffield Jr. This is Yankees Unloaded coming at you after the Yankees won 10-2 to the Chicago White Sox. And look, I understand, the White Sox are not the best team. As a matter of fact, they're maybe the worst team in sports ever. They're horrendous.
It keeps getting worse. The more you describe them, they just keep getting worse.
But first off, we're going to shout out Will Warren because this guy, he's coming off a really bad outing. And I know his ERA was comically bad and still comically bad, but he gave the Yankees 5 innings and he only gave up 2 runs and he had 5 strikeouts. And yeah, he gave up the home run, but look, that's a better start than last time. And I don't really think he is going to be much for this organization. I don't think he's even Clark Schmidt, to be honest with you. I don't think he's Cody.
Oh, that's for sure.
So I don't really see him pitching next year. I think they'll have this kind of figured out. But for the time being, good for him. But yeah, we're going to talk about Aaron Judge's 300th home run, why the MVP race is not even remotely close. We're going to talk about Juan Soto being a video game. I mean, literally just a video game.
A real shame, too, because Juan Soto is really wasting one of the best seasons of his career. I know he had some ridiculous video game numbers in Washington, but this season he's putting up, I mean, he's got 34 jacks. I know people have said amongst Yankees brass that these two with Aaron Judge and Juan Soto are really competitive with one another and they want to push each other. But what's so crazy is that as good as Juan Soto's season is, and I think he was like the first player to hit 4 home runs in a row since Reggie Jackson, it's so silly what he's doing. And in comparison to Aaron Judge, there's just nothing like that. There's nothing in this game. There's nothing we've seen in this game like Aaron Judge other than Barry Bonds. And it's a real shame from a historic standpoint because I love the history of the game and just watching people climb the ranks, going up the home run ladder, hitting 500 home runs, going up to 600 or 700. Juan Soto said today he can really see Aaron Judge being the home run king. It's a real shame, actually, that Aaron Judge didn't come up to the big leagues until 25 because if he
missed so many games, too.
He missed so many games due to injury. Obviously, he had a late start. He was a 4-year player in college. And don't get me wrong, it of course helps your development having not been those things. It's much more difficult to make the big leagues at 18 or 19 as opposed to 25. But it would be really cool if we got this version of Aaron Judge for an extra 5 seasons. Because if that was the case, we're talking about a player who could break Barry Bonds' record clean, which I personally don't give a rip about. Steroids across baseball, I never cared. But for Aaron Judge to do this, you look at him on the baseball field, you see a guy who's 6'7", 282 pounds. He looks the part. He's the most recognizable player in Major League Baseball. When you think of baseball, you think Aaron Judge. The dude's just silly.
Well, I guess let's talk about that because Aaron Judge today became the fastest, and by fastest, it's not he's the youngest. He has done it in the fewest games. 955 games it took to reach 300 career home runs. That is absolutely insane when you think about it because Ralph Kiner was the record holder before. 1,087, Gary.
That's
Ryan
not even
Howard,
close.
1,093 came after him. Juan Gonzalez, 1,096. A-Rod, 1,117. And Giancarlo Stanton, 1,119. It is really frustrating that Aaron Judge had those injuries. I mean, even talk about last year. I mean, when you look at what he was doing last year, he was pretty much still Aaron Judge. I mean, I think a lot of people kind of forget that. He was having a very good season, and unfortunately, he only played 106 games. So, I mean, that obviously stings. And, it's funny because he hit 267, and people bring that up. But his OPS is over 1,000. It's been over 1,000 3 years in a row. It's been at least 1,100 2 of the last 3 years.
Oh, over 1,000. He's almost at 1,200.
Yeah.
People talk about, and remember, the comparison right now in Major League Baseball, and I think it's fair just out of respect. is Bobby Witt Jr. out of Kansas City. This dude, just to read off his stats, I mean, he's not in a league where batting average is just nowhere to be found. We talk about Aaron Judge all day long. He's hitting 334, 333, just ridiculous, right?
Absolutely.
But league average now is 240. Okay. So batting average clearly is something that's been left in the past. Unfortunately, it's something I care about, but I know like it's a given with velocity and more movement. Guys are kind of giving up on that game plan. Well, these guys, it apparently they didn't get the memo. Bobby Witt Jr., like while the new school, he's got the 7.7 WAR, right? Ridiculous. But his on base is almost 400. His batting average is 332. Is that what it's at? 347, excuse me. That's ridiculous. Yeah. In this era of baseball, to be hitting 347, he's stolen 25 bags. His ops plus is 172. You're expected to be around 100. So what Bobby Witt Jr. is doing, especially at the position of shortstop, is just absurd. But when you compare that, all those numbers, a guy who's going to drive in over 100, he's going to score over 100, he's going to steal over 35 bags. He's going up against a cartoon character. Aaron Judge is a player who we have to compare him to himself. People asked me before the season, do you expect him to go hit 62 homers? And I said, no, I don't expect him to go do that. But mid-50s, isn't that par for the course now for this player if he's healthy? Aaron Judge, when healthy, is the best player in baseball offensively. He's the best. He's the most threatening person inside of a batter's box that's been in there, in my opinion, since Miguel Cabrera and Albert Pujols. Those guys, they were a combination of contact. They were contact hitters that just so happen to be freaks of nature that can put the ball in the seats. That's what you're seeing out of Aaron Judge. He's a player, frankly, there is no game plan. You actually talked about a few shows ago, I don't know if you remember, you were talking about the game plan to pitch to Aaron Judge. You really have to get ahead, and you have to throw breaking balls off the plate. That's what you have to do. And Aaron Judge is getting even better at drawing a walk. You want to talk about guys who don't slump? Well, Aaron Judge rarely ever slumps. And part of that reason is his ability to draw a walk. He can go an entire series and take a jog over to first base. That's part of the reason why when you look up at the end of the year, he didn't have many 0 for 24s, the way that you see a lot of other players in this sport do. So it's really impressive and a testament to who he is. And I really am starting to wonder if we need to talk to his hitting coach, because I know he has a different hitting coach than what we do. So maybe the Yankees might want to hire the guy. We'll see.
Hey, I mean, I guess you never know there. And I mean, the results speak for themselves. Just for everybody's knowledge here, Aaron Judge needs 463 more home runs to break the record. Now, Gary, I want to ask you, because we'll talk about the game and we'll talk about some other stuff. Jazz Chisholm, we're going to discuss. But Aaron Judge, he's not going to have a chance to hit 300 again, right? This is a special day. Right. This is a very special feat. So we want to let this breathe a little bit and, add some context to this whole situation. And Gary, he's played 9 years. Okay. So far he's 32. How many years is Aaron Judge going to play the rest of his career? Because that's what we need to know before we even try and do the math on this 463 home runs.
Well, I mean, you're talking about a player. He's signed until he's 40. Okay, so that's the math of there. So he'll be around. Now, how many years of those 8 years will he be this version of Aaron Judge? Because remember, he'll be 33 during next year's season. So you would expect Aaron Judge to be at this level at the very least until he's 35. That'd be my guess. So you're going to get probably anywhere from 40 to 60 homers. And that's obviously ridiculous. So this is a player, if I had to give you a guess of where I think he'll finish, somewhere in the mid 500s. That's where I expect him to finish, because right now the math to break the all-time home run record, he needs to play 11 and a half more seasons at 40 home runs a year. That obviously is just not going to happen, right? That's never going to happen.
That's what I was getting at. I mean, so 463, like I said, but then let's say you take away 15, because I think he hits 15 more this year. I think he ends up with probably, 57, 58.
Yeah, that's absolutely fair. I would say, mid 50s, 55, 56. You're right.
So I'll say, take away 15. You got 448 for the rest of his career. That's what he needs, right? And then let's just say next year he hits 50, right? So that's his age 33 season. We'll give him 50 in his age 34 season, and we'll give him 40 in his age 35 season. Fair?
Right. That's fair.
Okay. So Aaron Judge at this point in time would need 308 going into age 36 season. So I don't think it's actually even possible. And it's a bummer, but I just don't see it. And that's okay. Because keep in mind, a big thing about this record, this is why I actually push back against the steroid thing against, with Barry Bonds. I don't care, because at the end of the day, he had to play that long and he had to do it that long. And it's a testament to how hard he worked. He stayed healthy, stayed in the weight room and everything. Again, I understand, people are going to bring up steroids, but this is exactly why Aaron Judge is a great example of why this record needs to be celebrated. And it's the same thing with Hank Aaron. And I understand, people probably dislike Barry mainly because he broke Hank Aaron's record. And Hank Aaron is very well liked. I get that. And Hank Aaron
totally understandable.
Regardless, I think we need to understand, Alex Rodriguez absolutely had a shot at it, but it is not easy. It's not an easy feat at all.
Yeah, because I think Alex got to 696, which really is a testament to health. Because you need to get to the big leagues early. That's part of the reason why we're saying Aaron Judge won't break this record. It's just a matter of how long you've been around. In order to hit 763 homers, which I think is what he would need to break the record.
That would be the record.
You have to be around, very similar to what you see out of Juan Soto. Juan Soto has a much better opportunity to break the all-time record, in my opinion.
So funny, because do you think of, again, we've said this so many times in the show, do you think of Juan Soto as a home run hitter? Like, that's
not even close.
That's not his. It's kind of like, he's very similar in that aspect to, say, LeBron James. I don't look at LeBron James like he's a scorer, but he's the all-time scorer. And it's
the numbers suggest, he's putting the ball in the hoop more than any other players put the ball in the hoop. So you have to give him credit for being a power hitter. But no, to answer your question, Juan Soto, part of the reason why he was such a fit in New York is that the Yankees have, over the years, had enough power hitters. But what made Juan Soto so attractive for this organization was that he's not obsessed with the home run. He can slap a ball the other way, right?
You know how he's not? He'll drop a bunt.
How do I know? Right.
When would
Barry Bonds have ever done that?
Yeah, what slugger goes up there and was like, I'm going to drop a bunt because I want to win?
No, you just don't do that, because you just assume, like a Kyle Schwarber, for example, when you look at a player like that, you look at a Bryce Harper. Now, they've probably dropped down a bunt or two in their career.
Yeah.
But let's be realistic. When you think of Bryce Harper, you think, okay, when he's in year 16 or 17, my expectation, I think of him, he won a home run derby. I think of him in that 500 to 600, mid 600 range. You think of him as a power bat. Juan Soto's just not that, in large part because of what he does bat to ball skill wise. He's more of an old school guy. He'll make an adjustment. He'll get rid of his leg kick to sacrifice power and become more of a pure hitter, of something that I've really come to like in Major League Baseball, not just this year, but in years past, we got a lot more of that, more pure hitters, guys who are more well-rounded. You don't really see that much in baseball today. That's why you don't see batting averages anywhere near 300. I think the batting title, by the way, like off topic here, is at like 307 in the National League. Absolutely ridiculous, right? So that kind of goes to show you. So Juan Soto, what he does, to your point, he's a guy that really is a contact bat that just so happens to have stupid pop. Like he'll just put a ball to left field and it looks like a pop-up, but in reality, he's just got superhero power. That's just all it is. So
that opposite field power is just so, I mean, let's be honest here. It's so like taken for granted. I mean, who else hits the ball like that? So speaking of Juan Soto, as we get into the rest of this game, because once again, congratulations, Aaron Judge. Hell of a feat. Unfortunately, He's not, in my opinion. I don't think he's gonna, and that's okay. Again, it's just a reminder how freaking hard it is to hit into the 700 club.
He's gonna pass my dad.
Yeah, maybe.
That's pretty cool.
Maybe.
Well, he should pass my dad, right?
Well,
I mean, he's got 209 homers to go.
Who would have thought, though, 2020 and, COVID happens. He only gets 28 games. Who would have thought, the 2023 season, he gets hurt on the outfield wall because the Dodgers have a dumb stadium. Like, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like, when it comes to playing 162 games a year, that is really what we need to understand. Aaron Judge has never done that. He doesn't have to do that, right? Juan Soto does that.
Probably 140.
Yeah, I mean, he's played 157 as his career high. That was in 2022. So, I mean, if he can stick around, that 140 mark, I mean, he's got a shot to get to 600. But I think, to me, getting to 600 it would be like a big deal. Like, I want him in the 600s. I do. I'm not at all expecting him to get into the 700s. But if he does,
who's in that 600 range? I know it's Sosa's there. I think McGuire's also in the 600s.
Yeah. I mean, what's his face?
I believe Ken Griffey Jr. also finished in the 600s.
Yeah, I think he did. Yeah, I think it was Ken Griffey Jr., Sammy Sosa, Mark McGuire. Damn.
The list is insane, which, by the way, I never anticipated that Albert Pujols would make it to 700.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if they put juice balls out there. I have no idea what was happening.
I mean, hey,
I'm not going to say nothing.
He got some momentum at the end of that one. That was fun.
It was amazing, especially at Dodger Stadium. That was just really cool.
I'm still bitter.
We would like to see Aaron Judge be a part of that type of stuff, which he should be. As long as he's on the field, at least for these next 3 years, Aaron Judge should pass my dad in home runs. He should, if I had to take a guess, I say he finishes in like the 565 to 570 range. But I guess what really matters here is is Aaron Judge a champion? I think that's the way Yankees are going to remember him. When we think of great Yankees, like, I know there's some guys like Mattingly, you think of some of those players and they really stick out, but how good would it have been, some of these guys end up being champions, how it changes the entire complexion of your career. Aaron Judge winning a title in New York absolutely unleashes him to a different stratosphere. As hard as that is to believe, he needs to become a winner. He knows this. And so that's why there's so much importance on what we're telling them they need to do, right? With their general manager, with their ownership, with their other players on this roster, because this type of player, we're probably not going to see this type of guy for another 25 to 30 years. Like, I can't say we won't see it again. We're the Yankees. Like, we'll get another superstar. It just happens with this organization, but you don't want to waste this. And we've spent, I mean, would you consider it wasted so far? We've got a 32-year-old Aaron Judge who's put up these type of numbers. We need to deliver. We need to do right by him.
I swear, every time I look at Aaron Judge, for the Yankees and Rams fans out there, they know Aaron Donald. That's what I think of. Both name Aaron, both wear 99. Aaron Donald just retired, but he also plays football. So, guys retire a little bit earlier. But the biggest thing was, how on earth is this guy who's so much more dominant than everyone else, like, how is he going to retire without winning a ring? And then, obviously they won the ring, but I'm really, I agree. That's all I care about. Aaron Judge needs at least one. I really believe that. I mean, he's probably not going to get a bunch of them. I don't know if I don't really see this becoming like a dynasty or anything like that, but who knows?
Have to.
I mean,
we honestly don't have to.
Yeah.
No one's a dynasty, really. How many teams the last 20 years have won multiple championships? The list is pretty short, right? Yeah. You're talking about the Giants, the Red Sox, and the Cardinals?
Yeah, I think the Cardinals, you said the Red Sox and the Giants.
Yeah, the Red Sox, because I think the Red Sox have won 3 times, if I'm not mistaken. They won in 04. It was like 07.
Yeah, it's kind of wild when you think about it.
13,
I mean,
they won.
The Rangers should have multiple, and you saw they fell short multiple times.
Yeah, and then also, here's another thing about Major League Baseball, and I think everyone can agree with this. You can get to a World Series and have an extremely young team. So much needs to go right to win a World Series title. People just assume, oh yeah, this team was young, like the Arizona Diamondbacks. Perfect example. They were young, they were controllable, cheap. They get to the World Series last year, and everyone just says, well, we expect to see the Diamondbacks. Now, the Diamondbacks are playing really good this year, but nothing's a guarantee in October. You would have expected by now that the Yankees have at least appeared in a World Series by 2024. We haven't even sniffed it. We haven't. So you can't make any assumptions. All I'm asking for this Yankees organization, I'm looking at Aaron Judge's stat sheet right now. MVP, Rookie of the Year, 6-time All-Star, 3-time Silver Slugger, right? Home Run Derby champion, World Series title champion, and you're looking at a player who's done everything at that point. So anything else that he does, 99 is going to be in Monument Park. That's already a given. We know this, right? But you also, it would be bittersweet to put someone's number in Monument Park. Not saying I'm against it. I'm absolutely all for it. But it'll feel a lot better if Aaron Judge is a champion when we put him out there.
I agree with that. I still think A-Rod needs to be out there.
Oh, totally agree. Absolutely.
I'm still
people are going to be, by the way, you're going to get mixed feelings on that, because some people feel like, if you at some point you made a mistake and say cheated the game, people make mistakes. And I will say there's been other players, whether it be steroids, is it right, wires, stealing signs, because the Houston Astros at some point down the road here, to your point, we're going to get to the rubber's going to meet the road. Do we let those players into the Hall of Fame? And we're going to see how hypocritical that whole process is. So it's going to be interesting. God,
you nailed it. You absolutely nailed it. By the way,
you think they're going to care?
No, actually. No, I don't.
Jose Altuve gets to the Hall of Fame ballot. Do you think? Because remember, Jose Altuve never admitted to this. So Jose Altuve might get there and be like,
he'll get in.
Yeah, exactly.
And then he'll go on a podcast after he gets in and say, we did everything. I'm telling you, someday it's going to come out.
Oh, I'm right.
Yeah. But I'll say this. Alex Rodriguez had a 900 OPS career with the Yankees, played 12 years. Okay. 351 home runs with that team. And by the way, you don't have a World Series in 2009 without A-Rod. So I'm bummed that he didn't get a chance to hit 700, and I'm bummed that he's not in Monument Park. Those are my feelings. Say that whatever you will. I'm also I don't know how you feel about Rafael Palmeiro, but every time I look at this home run, this list, and I see him ahead of Reggie Jackson, it just makes me sour.
That's what bothers people about the steroids is that.
Well, that's exactly.
They feel like certain players are just like, obviously, they watch the beginning of their career. Okay.
Yeah, the slap.
And you saw a different baseball player, a different ball player. Alex Rodriguez was a stud day one.
Yeah.
Okay. Seattle, bombs. Okay. Texas, bombs. Now, same thing with my dad, right? My dad is in LA. Was he hitting 14 homers in Los Angeles as an MVP candidate, right? Before all the steroid stuff? No, he was hitting a career high 42 jacks. Okay. He ends up going to Atlanta. Did he just show up randomly and start hitting 35 homers? No, he did that 2 years prior. He hits 36 homers. Then at 36 years old, he goes to New York. He hits 36 homers. So the whole point here, if you change who you are, you go from a slap guy who's going to hit 320, and then suddenly you turn into a 295 dude who's hitting 65 homers. That's part of the reason why it bothers people, this whole steroid thing. And I get it. I totally get it. When a guy just totally transforms and then looks like a superhero and then gets in front of Congress and says, I never took steroids, and he's just lying out his ass. Yeah, it looks really bad. It looks bad. Okay. Same with Ryan Braun. Ryan Braun looks stupid. Okay.
Yeah.
If you're going to take steroids, just admit to it and walk off.
He hit 47 at age 36.
Right. But then also, who were you at 27? You know what I mean? So,
at 27, he hit 22.
Thank you. So, if you're hitting 22 homers, Anthony Volpe hit 20 homers last year. That's not a power hitter. Anthony Volpe's not a power guy. If you said, hey, name me all the power hitters in Major League Baseball, Would you name Anthony Volpe? You wouldn't.
Wouldn't. Let me ask you this. Well, I don't want to get too much into it, but so Rafael Palmeiro's, I want to say first 7 years, and he played 20 seasons. His first 7 years, he had a 296 batting average, an 815 OPS, 95 home runs in 7 years.
Really good player, not a power hitter.
Really good player, but is that even a Hall of Famer? I don't think so.
No, not yet. No.
So then, you know, people that like him are upset he's not in the Hall of Fame, but it's like then all of a sudden, out of the blue at age 30, he's hitting 39, 39, 38, 43, 47, 39, 47, 43, 38. He hit 38 home runs in year 38. Like his age 38 year.
So the gist is certain players flip the script. Certain players were something. And you said, okay, it's a fine player there, right? You'll have players that will play the game of baseball like Michael Young did in Texas. And then all of a sudden they'll turn into freaking Hideki Matsui and just hitting 45 bombs. No.
Yeah.
You need to be similar. What you were doing at 24, you need to be awesome. And then
my argument with Mark McGwire, by the way, because he was hitting home runs with the A's. So
absolutely true. Absolutely. But you know, it's difficult to like kind of figure out which players it mattered for, which players it didn't. But that's the whole gist. So but I wanted to actually discuss because this show is not going to be long. I want to talk actually about Oswaldo Cabrera today. I thought today's contest, he was superb. And this is a player like 2 for 5. We've seen it before, right? So a few players today had multiple hits, but I thought he stood out a ton today. In
his
large
energy
part
is palpable.
How could it not? He tagged up on an Alex Verdugo fly ball to right center field, tags up from second base to score. He stole a bag.
You
That's
know how I feel about
asking
that.
For.
I love my hustle around the base.
Even Verdugo was hustling somewhat today.
Hey, he's been doing it lately. I mean, I still don't know why you're giving him the most at bats, but Austin Wells had a laser beam that he hit. I mean, yeah,
Austin Wells had the perfect game today. He had a laser homer to right field. He had a laser opposite field single that drove in runs. And then also with 2 outs and nobody on, he gave it up and dropped down a bunt for a single. What else do you want out of
this game? Was 2-2 in the 7th inning. Like the Yankees were losing and they ended up winning 10-2. And a big reason is because Austin Wells came through, knocked in Soto and Judge in the 7th inning. And then after 4-2, Yankees took hold. Just full Nelson in hand. They just took over. And, you know, that's what you like to see. This is a bad team, but you still have to beat a bad team. And just because, you know, your first 6 innings didn't go the way you wanted, you know, doesn't mean the game's over. And so I like to see them playing because right now they could absolutely fold. Jazz Chisholm was, you know, kind of the Energizer bunny of this clubhouse. And so now I feel like someone has to step up. And I think Oswaldo Cabrera is doing that. And, you know, I think it's really important because what we're seeing, and I want to bring this up because we have been very critical of this team. This team is 12-5, by the way, their last 17 games. That puts them at 3rd in the MLB, 1st in the AL. So technically the last 17 games, so the best team in the AL. It's not really close. I really have to give a lot of credit to this offense because it just seems like every single day, and maybe this isn't the case, but more often than not, Gary, we're talking about seeing the entire box score. Someone has at least one hit in the hit column. Today, Glaber, unfortunately, did not get that hit. He did get on base with a walk, but everyone except for Glaber got hits today. And to me, that has been the case during that 17-game run, if we're being honest. So the 35 games before that, they were 11-24.
Yeah, people call this a home run or bust team.
But
it's just because the Yankees. It's the Yankees, and to be fair, that is something that the Yankees have done, right? You've got Aaron Hicks, you've got Luke Voit, you've got Gary Sanchez. Yeah. I get it. Totally understand. I do. But based on what this team does, A lot of times when they don't score, it's because they don't execute with runners in scoring position. It's not because they're striking out. They're making
5 for
poor
11
outs.
today.
Right. So 5 for 11, a team that is a strikeout, walk, right? Like a strikeout or walk team, home run, they're not going 5 for 11. And I know they're playing the White Sox, but we didn't hit 5 homers today.
No.
So a lot of
but
times, you just need to do less. This is baseball. This isn't the home run derby. I get it's fun, right? Midsummer Classic, you're going to have a good time hitting homers. And a lot of times when you hit home runs, you just associate bombs with winning. Well, when you watch a lot of the teams like the Houston Astros, who I've considered the most consistent postseason offense, right, of recent history, they do a lot of their damage. Yes, they hit home runs, right? The George Springers, the Altuves, right? The Bregmans, Michael Brantley, the past couple of years. But they're able to scrap runs by driving the ball the other way, making a quality out. We've talked about that a lot, quality outs. The Yankees were able to do that today. Sack flies, scoring from second base. The Yankees 3 years ago aren't even thinking about doing that. They're not even close.
No.
Matter of fact, they don't even have the personnel to even attempt that, which, by the way, this is partially why people wanted guys like Volpe and Cabrera and even guys out there on the deadline with speed. Speed isn't just so that you can have a leadoff hitter. Speed is so in games like this where you're losing or tied to a team you have no business losing to, you can impact the game and essentially steal the game by doing something else other than hitting bombs. And that's what the Yankees did today. They were hitting line drive singles the other way. They were stealing bags. They were tagging up, and they stole a game against, well, they didn't really end up stealing the game because it got ugly. But we scored 6 in the 8th inning. Before that, it was a nail biter. Is what it is. So our legs essentially made this game out of hand, and then the power bats essentially just finished the job, which you love to see.
You do love to see it. I think you and I nerd out about the little things, but that's what makes baseball different than other sports. The bunting, the scoring from first, productive outs. I mean, what kind of play in football, basketball, hockey is the equivalent of a productive out?
I would probably say the equivalent in a basketball game would be you catch a rebound, and instead of holding the ball to get an assist or trying to score yourself, you kick it up the court and push the pace, and you don't get the stat. Nobody looks at the stat sheet and says, oh, well, LeBron James got an assist there, or Kobe Bryant received an assist there, or a basket, or hit a 3. No, he pushed the pace, and you would have to watch the game to see the actual impact. When you see a guy hit a ground ball to second base with nobody out, and the runner advances from second to third base, you really think people who missed the game, whether they had work or they wanted to go watch Netflix, you think when they look at the box score or go on ESPN, they're going to show a dude hitting a ground ball to second? They didn't, did they? And that's rightfully so. It's not entertaining. But you know what's more entertaining than home runs and all that sexy stuff? Winning.
Yeah.
And those type of plays help you win. Certain players are okay with this. Certain players are okay doing the ugly stuff. You really think, given the way Austin Wells has been swinging the bat since he became our starter, you don't think he wants to try and tee off against the Chicago White Sox? Of course he does. He's got the pop to hit 20 homers, clearly.
Yeah.
He went up there with 2 outs, nobody on, and dropped down a bunt. Yes, it looks like a hit in the stat sheet, but he had no opportunity to drive in any runs. He passed the baton to somebody else. Now, it didn't end up materializing into any runs, but he's willing to make that attempt. He's willing to make that sacrifice. And that's a winning baseball player. Is he a World Series championship caliber player? We're going to find out. But when you have enough of those players willing to do the little things, at least you can't say we're not willing. So I love to see that. I want to see more players try and do these things. And if we do, hell, the Major League Baseball right now, a lot of these teams, they're good. They're not great. We've got a shot. We've got to find a way to pitch. I don't know if we have enough pitching. Jake, that's what I'm worried about is our pitching. What does Garrett Cole look like in October? What does Luis Gil? What does his control look like in October? Is Trevino, when healthy, is he back in the lineup all of a sudden splitting time? We have question marks with this organization that we're going to need answers to quick.
No, I agree. And I mean, a big question is Jazz Chisholm, who was placed on IL 10-day. We talked about that yesterday. John Heyman was the only one that I think had any sort of report on anything.
Super good reporter.
Yeah, he said that they're trying
Shout out, John.
He said that they were trying to get him back in 3 to 4 weeks. They're hopeful for that. If I'm being honest, I don't see why you don't wait until the last week of the season, give him a week, and ramp him up for the postseason. I really, because there's going to be probably a rehab assignment in there, and you're going to do that in September, at the end of September. I think he's going to be back for October. I do, but I don't want him to be rushed back. I can't stress that enough. So, I mean, if he's not ready for October, then don't rush him back, because he's also part of your team next year. And if he can't help you, I mean, we saw it. This is a really good example. Matt Carpenter. Remember how good he was? And they rushed him back, and he was nothing in the postseason. Nothing. He was complete. His pop was gone. He was just horrible because he was not healthy. Right. So he is a good reminder not to rush guys back that aren't ready to go for the postseason. But, to kind of wrap this thing up, I did talk to you off air about Oswaldo Cabrera, or not Oswaldo, Oswald Peraza. I mean,
this is weird.
He got called up over Vivas, and he's been hitting the ball very well, right? And didn't play today against the White Sox. When is he going to play if he couldn't get on the field against the White Sox? I understand, Vivas are like, okay, well, it was the Orioles and everything. And I don't understand. I'm just trying to understand. But the White Sox,
people were saying, okay, yeah, we're playing Baltimore, so maybe you don't want to throw a young player into that fire. We weren't saying it was correct. You didn't either.
No.
But you sent him back down. You gave him 2 days off. So what's the excuse here?
Yeah.
You didn't trust him against the literal worst team in this sport that
Gary,
they have to offer?
Are they self-sabotaging? Are they obsessed with because are they really going to take Peraza when he's hitting well finally and give him 3 days off like Vivas and throw him out of his rhythm?
Oh yeah, that's right, because the Yankees have a day off tomorrow. So we called up a player who's playing well, brought him here, and the Yankees probably would say we didn't have the anticipation of playing him. We were just we wanted the roster depth so that just in case there's a late scratch, Gleyber Torres can't play second base, DJ LeMahieu's 36 years old, maybe he couldn't play first base. We end up moving somebody else to first base, and then we get Peraza out there. Well, shouldn't you be protecting young players a little bit more than calling up a guy that you said you had a lot of faith in and then using him as roster depth in August against the worst team in the sport? Why? You're playing Chicago. You clearly didn't need him. So just leave him in the minor leagues and let him play.
They don't like him. I don't know how they went from he's the second best prospect in our farm system, we're not going to trade him for Luis Castillo, to like he's not even ranked, and they don't like him. They do not like Peraza. I don't know why.
Trying to figure out who they do like.
Who knows at this point?
Like Vivas, they called him up and told him to go pack up your Louis Vuitton bag and hit back to AAA. That's what they did. And we can joke about it all we want, but I think when Vivas got called up, a lot of people, especially that watch our show, were like, oh, great. The Yankees are actually getting proactive here. Yeah. And then they didn't really, I don't know, they put the Lamborghini in the garage. I know he's not a Lamborghini of a prospect, but they said that they believed in this kid, and then he gets here, and you don't even put it in a second gear. You just leave it in park and send it back to the garage. That's what they did. So embarrassing. I don't know. But overall, happy about this performance that we had today. We had to win this game. Okay. Yeah. Baltimore won. We still are nursing a half game lead, and we're playing a young Detroit team later this week. Garrett Cole, I want to move this to Garrett Cole. He has to, Jake, go away from the cutter. Stop throwing that pitch.
Yes.
The pitch doesn't work. And I get it. 2 years ago, last year, it's not last year. Don't tell me about what his cutter looked like in 2023. Get back to the four-seam fastball, your bread and butter, the power slider. You've got to. That changeup, still really good. He needs to go to these pitches. Lay off the cutter. I want to see Garrett Cole in the strike zone early with a power fastball. If I see that, I'm expecting a really successful start. I'm expecting length. And the Yankees need it.
Yeah, and I don't really know why Ben Rice is on this team. Kind of like what we were just talking about. I wanted to bring that up real quick because Ben Rice.
Oh, yeah. No one knows.
Yeah, because they don't use him. And I was told that it was because lefties, but today was a right-handed starting pitcher.
Oh, that's right. That is right. Because DJ LeMahieu, well, he went 1 for 5 with 3 Ks, which, to be fair, I mean, Ben Rice could have done the same thing. But based on the lineup and how they've constructed, this is kind of what we said. We have no idea when guys are going to play, where, what order. Ben Rice, based on what they told us, when we see a righty, you should see Ben Rice at first base. When we see a lefty, DJ LeMahieu. That's what they've told us. And then today, we saw a right-handed guy, good slider, really good changeup. We saw that especially early. No Ben Rice. So I don't know. I'm not sure what's going on. Whether or not, I'm not clamoring that he should be on the field. I don't really care too much about it, but I can't necessarily see the logic of how they came to this.
Yeah, well, at least now we know that they'll have somebody to send down if they want to go out and get Ahmed Rosario. Don't ask me, by the way, when waivers is. Gary knows. I spent about 40 minutes looking up waivers, and I know nothing. So the NFL is so much easier. Actually, any sport that's not commissioned by Rob Manfred is really easy to find any sort of information on it. But for whatever reason, baseball, they love hiding things. Like you just even the diehard fan doesn't know like some of the stuff. So it's like, I don't know. But
no, it's our job to run a podcast, and we have I used ChatGPT to see if they could tell me. They couldn't tell me.
No, they probably mentioned ESPN Fantasy Baseball, like what I saw.
Yeah. Oh, you know who would be able to tell us is the geniuses on Yankees Twitter. They'd probably know.
Oh yeah. Yep.
They know everything. So I'm sure if I tweeted it, people would have a nice guess for me.
Yeah, that's true. All right. Well, hey, that is going to do it. We have to give out a really good movie because
I was going to say, don't cut us short now.
Yeah. I don't care that it's the White Sox. The quality of win going from, hey, we're losing in the 6th inning to, hey, we won by 8. I mean, that's a really good win. And
Agreed.
Will Warren kind of gave length. So as in like not 3 innings. So let's go with, I'm going to go with a great movie here. I'm going to go with the movie Reservoir Dogs. I thought that movie was stellar. Put Reservoir Dogs in the comment section below. If you haven't seen it, go ahead and watch it right now. It's
a
really
tough
good.
spell. I don't even know if I'd be able to spell reservoir.
You know what? Let's not do Reservoir Dogs because of the tough spell.
No, actually, leave it in. I want to see. I want to see people try and spell that. And here's the trick. Don't try and outsmart us. Don't look it up. Just spell it. We need you guys to just totally raw dog it. Reservoir Dogs. No Google search. You gotta spell it on your own.
I like it. All right. Well, that's gonna do it. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment. Definitely comment Reservoir Dogs if you got to this point. We're also like doing this. We're also giving out really good movie recs. So I don't know. Like you should definitely check them out. But that's gonna do it. We appreciate you guys, and they're off tomorrow, so that means we're off tomorrow. So we'll see you guys back in the Bat Cave on Friday. Again, it is Friday.
Yeah, Friday.
Yankees and Tigers, who are not playing for anything. And if you told me that earlier in the year, I would have been a little surprised because they looked like a decent team.
Very true. At least we get to see Javi Baez. That should be a treat.
Oh, let's end the show.
Yeah, and like this video.